Greetings and salutations. This is Akirishin. In this video, I will be featuring the F2G Super Corsair. It's a multi-role American fighter. It has four 20mm cannons with, I would say, somewhat low damage per second, a medium to low rate of fire, and a fairly reasonable effective range of 760 meters. This aircraft also equips bombs, 1,600-pound bomb, one single bomb, which does 9,000 damage and has a fairly generous damage radius of 120 meters. It also carries rockets. These are for ground targets, generally not for aircraft. You can use it for aircraft, but it's kind of difficult. It's not like the salvo-fired rockets. But I have destroyed, aircraft that are flying straight at me with them. But they do pretty decent damage, 1,500, and have a 30-meter damage radius. So not too high on the damage radius, but they are rockets after all. As with any fighter, I have equipped Control Surface Adjustment 3 for an increase in maneuverability in turns by 3%, and Lightweight Airframe for a 3% increase in maneuverability in all axes. Finally, I have equipped as an upgrade Improved Covering 3, which decreases by 20% the chance of critical damage to wings and tail, and also gives the aircraft an extra 5% in hit points. I am using universal ammunition that has equal parts chance of fire and equal parts chance of critical damage. Now just remember, on this universal ammunition, it's not so universal in that breakdown of fire to critical damage can vary depending upon the type of aircraft that you have. But as a multi-role, this is a very balanced aircraft, and its universal ammunition is likewise very balanced. I have gone with automatic fire extinguisher and the first aid kit to get the pilot back into health so that we can keep putting rounds on the target. And I am using heavy duty control surfaces to increase maneuverability in all axes for 10 seconds. That's when I get in those close dogfights that I need that extra edge. In terms of its maneuverability, this aircraft is slated to have good maneuverability in horizontal turns. So certainly not high maneuverability, but good maneuverability. It feels very responsive in flight. So I think it has a very reasonable turn rate for a multi-role fighter. It has pretty good airspeed, and it does have a very reasonable engine boost, which I'll show you once we get into some PvP. It's most effective in mid-altitude combat and, of course, in attacking ground targets. In terms of pilot skills, I have gone with Aerobatics Expert for a 2% increase in maneuverability in all axes, and Aerodynamics Expert, which enhances by 40% the effects of our lightweight airframe and our control surface adjustment upgrades. In terms of the aircraft's specifications, Its optimum altitude is 1,400 meters. Its optimum airspeed is 432 kilometers per hour. So the optimum altitude of 1,400 meters is very much mid-altitude, as it is described. The aircraft is described, and the optimum airspeed is kind of a medium airspeed, maybe medium minus. I wouldn't call it low, but it's almost low. And you see average time to turn 360 degrees is 11 seconds. So this is not a turn and burn fighter by any stretch of the imagination. And you tend to want to avoid those close-in dogfights if you can. But if, it can hold its own with aircraft that aren't dedicated turn and burn fighters. In terms of paint scheme, this is summer that you're looking at right now. Winter. Desert. And marine. I added the little checkered design up here. I tend to like those kind of checkered designs. I think it kind of fits well with the blue of the aircraft. One of the things I like about this particular Corsair design is this little intake. I'm assuming some sort of intake section right here, the little hump. See, that kind of looks very interesting. See the rockets on, these multi-role aircraft with the rockets and the bomb outload really look good. And of course, I'm a fan of the kind of cockpit that sits on top of the airframe rather than is built into the airframe. I think that's kind of neat as well. The only downside is, if you're being shot at from behind, you don't really have much protection, but a lot of aircraft will have a metal plating right in this area to protect the pilot's head. So, the Corsair is just a very classic American aircraft. Mainly saw action in the Pacific. I remember growing up watching the series Ba Ba Black Sheep. I don't know if any of you remember that or have seen that, but Pappy Boyington, very famous Marine pilot, quite a character. If you, the Ba Ba Black Sheep series is out, and so you can get it on DVD, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Speaking of, I just watched a movie last night called The Hunters. So if you're interested in the F-86A Sabre, which I've previously reviewed, but it's a story about a pilot in the Korean War who flew F-86A Sabres against Chinese MiGs. Really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So check that out if you're in the market for a good flick about fighter pilots and the Sabre. You might want to take a look at the movie Hunters. It's got Robert Mitchum in it, who's one of my favorite actors. Anyway, back to our task here. Back to the Corsair. Okay, so what we are going to do now is head in over to World of Warplanes website, and we will use their aircraft comparison tool to compare this Corsair to other multi-role fighters at Tier 8. So let's do that now. So we are here on World of Warplanes website using their compare aircraft tool, and I have lined up various different Tier 8 multi-role fighters on this page, and let's see, couple pages here. And as I always remind you, when you're using this tool, you want to make sure you go into each aircraft and fully customize each one of them so that you put them in their best light. And of course, whatever aircraft you're featuring, you want to choose it last, because whatever aircraft you hit compare last on will be the first aircraft in your lineup. Alright, so moving on here, we have first the Supermarine Seafang F-32, which is a British multi-role fighter, one of my absolute favorite aircraft. We also have the J7W1 Shinden, which is a Japanese multi-role aircraft. So let's take a look at what we have here. Alright, so in terms of gun armament, the Seafang and the Corsair are very identical, essentially, in terms of their stats. The J7W1 clearly indicated to be superior to the Corsair, but what I would say in that regard is, remember that the J7W1, although it's a very powerful cannon, it has a very low rate of fire. It overheats very quickly, so you're only going to get 3 or 4 shots out of it before the cannon overheats. So just, bear that in mind when you consider that particular stat. Bombs and rockets. The Corsair, the American multi-role aircraft are very well equipped in terms of rockets and bombs. So it's no surprise that the Corsair is superior stats-wise to the Seafang and the Shinden. The Seafang has rockets. I don't think it has a bomb. Let me see here. Yeah, it doesn't have a bomb, it just has rockets. It could, I think that's probably one of the reasons why it is inferior. The Shinden only has a single bomb. Yeah, the Corsair is definitely superior to those two aircraft in the bomb/rockets department. Also, the Corsair more survivable, not by a huge margin, but enough. You can see that in the hit points, slightly higher hit points for the Corsair. Airspeed, again, the Corsair outdoes both the Seafang and the Shinden. I can tell you, the Seafang is not too bad in the speed department, but the Shinden just often feels like a slow aircraft. Top speed at altitude, so when this aircraft is at its best altitude, this is its top speed. And as you can see, the Seafang and the Shinden actually faster in that department. So it's an interesting dichotomy there between the airspeed stat and the top speed at best altitude. All right, in terms of maneuverability, both the Seafang and the Shinden are going to by a very small margin out-turn the Corsair. So this is the amount of time it takes for the Corsair to turn 360 degrees. So that turning dogfight, this is what we're talking about here. 0.6, not really a significant departure there between those aircraft. Optimum altitude, the Seafang is slightly better in that department. The J7 W1 the same as the Corsair. Rate of climb, both the Seafang and the J7 W1 have a significantly higher rate of climb than does the Corsair. So if you're in a Corsair and you're trying to outclimb in an escape attempt from the Seafang or the J7W1, it's not going to work. They're going to catch you. All right, so we'll take these two aircraft off the roster and move on to the Republic XP72, which I'm interested to compare here because it is another American multi-role aircraft. And the Messerschmitt ME 109TL. On the XP72, it does have I want to say it has 2 bombs. Yeah, it has 2 500-pound bombs. So I wish that the Corsair had 2 bombs, not just 1. So that's one of my criticisms of the Corsair, is that it only has 1 bomb. It has 10 of the rockets, and let's see, the Corsair has 8 rockets. So now let's compare the bomb here. The bomb on the Corsair is 1,600 pounds. Whereas the bomb on the XP72 is 500 pounds. So while the XP72 has 2 bombs, it is a less powerful bomb. So that's something to take note of. And of course, you know, the ME 109TL, I want to say it has like a single, yeah, it just has a single bomb. Can equip rockets, but just like, you know, 2. Pretty pitiful. Survivability, the XP72 is slightly more survivable. The ME 109TL slightly less. Now, having said that, the ME 109TL is better in the airspeed department. So its defense is more speed related rather than, say, armament on the aircraft. Hit points. So you see there that the XP72's slightly 60 more hit points, whereas the ME 109 is 40 less. Okay, airspeed. XP72 a little bit faster. ME 109 even faster still. Again, you know, its defense is speed. Top speed at best altitude, XP72 and the ME 109 both outclass the Corsair. And again, you see where the ME 109TL again relying on airspeed for its defense and its tactics. Average time to turn 360 degrees. The Corsair outclasses both the XP72 and the ME 109TL in those department. In that department. Okay. Moving down to stall speed. both the XP72 and the ME109 have higher stall speed. So that's one definite benefit with the Corsair versus those other two aircraft, is the other two aircraft are going to stall more easily than the Corsair. All right, optimum altitude, XP72 and the 109TL both significantly outclass the Corsair in terms of its optimum altitude, but surprisingly not the rate of climb. It's odd. I see that in a lot of aircraft where aircraft will outperform another aircraft in the altitude department, but not in the rate of climb. You would think, with a higher altitude capability, you would also get a higher rate of climb, but not always so, as you see right here. Alrighty. So those two aircraft. And then we have the Blum und Voss P210 and the Su-9. Armaments-wise, the P210 slightly less than the Corsair, the Su-9 slightly more than the Corsair. Bombs and rockets, Corsair is outclassing both of those other two aircraft. Now the Blum und Voss P210, it does not have any bombs, I do not believe. What it does have are salvo-fired rockets, which can be effective against other aircraft, especially aircraft flying directly at you, head-on, which often happens in this game. In terms of it being the best, ground attack aircraft, it isn't either one of those. Survivability, the Corsair and the Su-9, the same. The P210, a little bit less. But then again, if it's more maneuverable, that can make up for that. You see that in the hit points. Now that's an interesting situation here. The Corsair is said to be more survivable than the Su-9, but yet you see that the Su-9 has slightly greater hit points than the Corsair. But maybe the difference is just so minimal. But the P210 significantly less in the hit points department than the Corsair. Airspeed, the P210, no surprise there, slightly beats out the Corsair. It feels like a fast aircraft, the P210. The Su-9 ever so slightly less than the Corsair. Top speed at best altitude, both the P210 and the Su-9 outclass the Corsair in that department. And sometimes, the Corsair does seem kind of slow. Average turning time, and this is very interesting. You see here that the P210 outclasses the Corsair in turning rate. And it doesn't seem like much, 0.6, but every little bit counts in that turning dogfight. Even a slight difference can be a significant edge. Su-9 inferior to the Corsair in 360-degree turning. Optimum airspeed, P210 better than Corsair. Su-9 significantly less than the Corsair. Stall speed, both the P210 and the Su-9 are going to stall faster than the Corsair. Optimum altitude, P210 outclasses the Corsair in that regard by 400 meters. The Su-9 is the same. And rate of climb, significantly worse for the P210 and the Su-9 in comparison to the Corsair. So the Corsair is going to outclimb both of those other aircraft. So if you're facing a P210 or an Su-9 and you need to get away, climbing might be one of the ways that you could do that. Is that it, or do we have more? Okay. One more. Okay. The Mikoyan Gurevich I-260 multi-role aircraft. You see that it does outclass the Corsair in the armament department, having a 57 millimeter cannon and also two 23 millimeter cannons. Bombs and rockets, the I-260, none. Survivability, the I-260, slightly less than the Corsair. And you see that in the hit points difference. Airspeed, I-260, slight advantage there over the Corsair. And slight advantage over the Corsair in top speed at best altitude. So top speed at best altitude for the Corsair, 720 kilometers per hour. Average turning time for 360 degree turn, Corsair is going to outclass the I-260 in that regard. So, you know, if you're going up against an I-260, snuggle in close and, you know, get in that turning dogfight, and you're going to most likely prevail unless you make a mistake. And optimum airspeed, I-260, slightly more than the Corsair, not anything hugely significant. But you see there is a pretty big significance in the stall speed, that the I-260 is going to stall much sooner than the Corsair. And you know, why can that be significant? Well, if you're both going straight up, chances are that the I-260 may stall out and fall down faster than your Corsair. Optimum altitude, I-260, better in that regard, but not better in the rate of climb. So again, very interesting. We see another situation where the I-260 is, you know, a better altitude performer than the Corsair, but does not have a better climb rate. All right, so hope that helps put the Corsair in context with other Tier 8 multi-role fighters. So we are now going to head into a battle and see how our Super Corsair performs in PvP. So we have drawn the Road to Rome Call of Duty map. We'll be heading over here to this garrison first, then we will head to their garrison, and then finally to the air base if we're still alive. The air base is a heal base. You can also switch aircraft there when you respawn. But good luck trying to heal there because it's almost always under attack. And I do not believe you can heal while the airfield is under attack. Let's see what we want to target here. And we're just taking out all the anti-air, or at least as much as we can. Okay, we'll flip here and let this fellow go by us. How's that for fancy flying? Yeah, I was gonna say, you just need to die. Okay. This guy's gonna go under us. And now we're behind him squarely. Get him? Okay. Just knock this area out here. Let's see what kind of bomb radius we get. Quite see it. Alright, we have a whole bunch of reds coming in on us here. BV on our tail. Let's let him go under us here. Hopefully get past us. Can't we? Come on. I'm gonna use air brakes here. He is just a little bit more maneuverable than we are. Let's see if we can do it vertically. Yeah, he was just a little bit more maneuverable than we were. So, but there you saw, you know, how this aircraft performs in that turning kind of dogfight, and let's see here. Is that an attack aircraft? Yeah, we've got an attack aircraft over here on our garrison. So we'll come over here and deal with it. And then we'll head to the other garrison. Where'd it go? Oh, it's way up there. Oh, an RB-17. I don't think we can get up that high, folks. Try. Come on. Stalled. Oh, we got him. Excellent. Alright, and there's a couple of ground attack aircraft headed to our garrison there, having already dispatched our other garrison. But folks, they are not going to make it. They're going to be late. Alright. Deal with the other one. Goodbye to you also. Yeah, we've got a fighter coming in. Let's see if we can do anything with him. What do we have here? Sorry guys, didn't mean to shoot my own airfield. Alright, well, fighter got the better of us there. Somebody's talking to us there. Okay. Somebody's watching our video. Alright, so we'll head over here, get this garrison. Always nice to have people encouraging us in chat.
They've almost got us.
Oh boy, I really wanted to get him. Come on. Ah. Man. Almost had him.
Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again, support will not be available.
Okay, so we'll head over here to our garrison over here and try to defend it. Looks like the most likely opportunity we'll have to save it. This one looks like it's lost, yeah. It is lost. Yeah, folks, if you see me in a match, absolutely say hi, let me know you're out there.
The enemy force is too strong.
Really enjoy hearing from you. Okay, so unfortunately a defeat, but we did get the #1 slot for the team. And let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 humans on each team there. Very good, folks. So you can see this aircraft is pretty strong, and very effective. I could use an extra bomb. Having only one bomb is a little bit, I think, underpowered, but still very effective. And we destroyed 6 enemy air targets. Didn't do a lot of ground damage on that particular, in this particular match. Kind of more focused on well, and part of it is that we just went in and we did surgical strikes on some of the anti-aircraft emplacements to knock those out. We did not destroy the entire ground target. We just knocked out the actual anti-aircraft emplacement itself, but the supporting buildings we left alone, so that we could do our work up in the air. You did get to see this aircraft in a close-in dogfight with the, what was it, the BVP-210, and that aircraft is just a little bit more maneuverable than ours. But anyway, there you have it, and hope you enjoyed that battle. And let's have another one. Okay, so we have drawn the Northern Bridgehead Cold Skies map. We'll be headed over here to the command center to secure that, so we can
Cover your allies. It's the enemy, and we shall win.
Get bomber flights headed to our enemy's assets. That ties up their aircraft and or bombs the heck out of their sectors that they've captured, making it easier for us to take them later. Once we've secured the command center, we'll head over here to this garrison, and then finally we'll head over to the forward airstrip.
Pilots, get ready for action. Let's go.
So in terms of the function of a multi-role aircraft, as indicated, it is to take out enemy AA emplacements. Drop our bomb on that big radar installation.
The enemy is concentrating forces near the airfield.
And having taken out their AA, now we'll work on killing some of these aircraft. Okay, so we've secured our command center, and we'll start heading over to this garrison. Now, if I can, I like to take out this little AA emplacement right here along the way. Let's get a little bit of height so we have a better shot at it. We're out of rockets, so we'll have to just use machine guns.
Attention all fighters. Enemy bombers detected. Destroy them.
Some short bursts here so we don't get our guns too overheated. Looks like we took out one of its engines. Come on. They do tend to get overheated. Alright. Got a flight of bombers coming in. Don't know if we can get up there in time. Maybe we could take a few of them out. And we have a lot of reds coming in on us as well that we have to be cognizant of. So we're just trying to be disciplined here and use short bursts so we don't get our guns overheated. Looks like we have some company coming in, and we cannot ignore J7. We're gonna have to deal with them. One of our multi-rolls that we'll be taking a look at later. Or that we did take a look at. Come on, we really want to get that 262 before he gets out of range. Almost got him, come on.
The command centers are under our control. Communication with the headquarters.
Oh, come back. Guess he didn't want to play anymore. Let's drop some ordnance here before they kill us. Alright. Fancy flying, I don't know if it's going to save us, but and it didn't. Killed by a John Deere. Best in lawn equipment. Okay. How we doing here? Where's that 262? No, come back. Dang it. Oh, they got him. Alright, so let's head over here to the airfield and see if we can't take that from the enemy. Looks like some of their defense aircraft are dealing with the bombers, so that might be a good opportunity for us to make headway here. Let's head down a little bit. This is not really our
Hang in there.
area up here.
You'll soon be cut off from support. I say again, support will not be available.
So we're just gonna stay low here, which is more our element.
Forces to attack the command center. Be cautious.
What do we have coming up there? Is that 262 or nope? Another attack aircraft.
The enemy has captured the command center. Don't let them gain a foothold. There's a heavy storm here. Unable to proceed. Returning to base. Do you copy? Victory is in sight. Keep it up.
We are in. We're burning, smoking, you name it. We've got some issues. Let's see if we can get this fellow right here. XP-58. We're past the squall line, so I really don't want this guy to take us out. He is on our tail. What is that? Maybe if we drop a bomb, we can kill him with that. Ah, and our tail is out, and we're having trouble not running into the ground at this point. Yeah, I was hoping maybe if I dropped a bomb he might run into it, but no such luck.
Enemy bombers inbound. Don't let them reach their target.
And we're past the squall line now, so we are out of the war, folks. So we captured 3 sectors. Let's see here.
Victory is ours. We're
Ah,
waiting for your
victory.
return.
Very nice. Flying start. Effective fire. Subjugator. Top rank. And our grade result. Let's head back to the hangar now and take a look at the after action report. So I'd say if there was one thing I'd like to, that might be a little bit better, or I guess 2 things that might be a little bit better with this aircraft. Number 1, it would be nice if it had 2 bombs instead of 1. And number 2, if it was a little bit faster. Okay, so we did 17,000 in damage to ground targets. Over 2,500 in damage to aerial targets. Killed 6 aerial targets. And secured the victory. So excellent. Looks like, see, 1, 2 human pilots on each team. So really enjoy this aircraft. Really, you know, when I first started flying it, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do, but I've had some really good success in it. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I think if you get an opportunity to fly this aircraft, that you'll have good success in it.